Hi, welcome to another episode of Caregivers Finding a Foothold. I'm Consuela and Happy New Year. I'm so glad you're here. And my hope is that you all had a good holiday season. And this new year brings about chances for new opportunities to further embrace life as a caregiver in a way that you're still caring for your loved one, but doing it in a way that you're also taking care of yourself. So in this new year, it's just something about January the 1st. It's like a start over. It's like a new breath of fresh air that can take place. And it can be an opportunity to reset things that may not have gone well in 2023, and just an opportunity to look at things in a fresh eye and just look ahead into what can I do differently to be more connected to my life and to be able to celebrate my life more outside of my role as a caregiver. In 2023, in the last week and in the beginning of 2024, well, on the social media platforms are all of the reels that people create. They may highlight events that were wonderful in their life from January to December, where they may, in this 60-second clip, highlight the weddings, all of the promotions, all of the vacations, all of those things. And those are good things, but at the same time, they're not showing the things that didn't go well. And while it's not a bad thing to celebrate the good things, at the same time, those who are looking at those videos, and especially as caregivers who don't get to go to all of the events, go on the vacations, do all of those things that they see, it's easy to say, good for them, but I don't get to do that. I want to challenge you to right now, in the beginning of this new year, start to think right now what you would like the real for your life to look like at the end of 2024. And what I want you to do is realistically say to yourself, what are some things that I would like to do that I did not get a chance to do last year? And how can I make those things happen for you? Many caregivers think that while they're in the role of being the caregiver, that they just don't have time for all of that. But I want to really caution you to change your frame of mind when you're thinking that, because what you may need to consider is, no, I may not have that amount of freedom. I may not have that type of support that allow me to do the frequency of things that other people do, but there are things that I can do. They may look very different from what you were accustomed to doing. You were accustomed to being in a certain location and doing things in a certain manner in order to see it as being a fun activity. But those fun activities can still happen, but they may look a little bit different in the confinements of your time availability as a caregiver. But those things can be still very fulfilling in your life. Maybe those times of being with your spouse may have a lot of interruptions in that you don't have those big vacations, those big getaways, those things that you all were accustomed to doing, but there's still a lot of value into maximizing those little opportunities to still celebrate time with your spouse and enjoy the quality of time that you do have. And not just with your spouse, with every area of your life. So we're going to talk more about that. What are those opportunities that you can make available to yourself? How can you make 2024 be the year that you can really add back in things in your life? So number one is that you got to really say you want it and say, look, I believe it can happen. And I am going to see what I can do to the best of my ability to make it happen. Look, you may not get to do everything on a list that you can create, but that's life. That's with all of us. We all make plans, and some of the plans materialize and some don't, and that's just part of life. But as you continue to do this and you continue to create a system by which you have a team of support, people that can assist you in accomplishing this time that you will need for yourself in 2024, it makes it well worth the while of going through some trials and errors to get to where you want to get to throughout the course of the year. So the first thing is believing it and wanting it and believing that it can happen. And then number two is expressing your need and build your team. You want to start talking to people right now, family members and friends, thinking, especially of the ones that have offered to help, and you may have said, "No, that's okay. I don't need to go. I'll be okay. Well, nobody really knows how to take care of mom but me, and well, I've got to stay here and do this, so she's not going to let anybody help her but me." It's time to move away from that. Yep, you want your life to change. And I know for me, at one while in my caregiving role, when I was caring for my mom, there was a point that I felt that I had to do things because I was the occupational therapist in the family, that I can do this. I mean, I could do transfers. I could do all of this. I can do it easier than my sisters. So let me just do it. But I quickly realized that just because I could do it didn't mean I needed to do it. And it really wasn't in my best interest to continue to do the volume of things that I had put upon myself. And I had to start accepting help from my sisters and really asking for help from other people. And so that's that second point, is just expressing the need and build your team. Really saying, even right now in January, start asking for help and be able to step away from caregiving, even if it's just a couple of hours to begin with, and then growing it to half a day, to a full daytime day, and then then an overnight day, then a weekend stay. And if things were continue to progress, even having extended several days away from caregiving, because you're going to slowly build your team to allow for that. So just believing it in that you want it to happen, and then expressing a need to those that are in your circle, and really thinking about those who've offered. And then the next one is advanced planning. It just requires a lot of advanced planning. So with the advanced planning, it means it's January right now, but you already know you have a brother who always has this big celebration in April. It's his birthday, and it's always been the big thing. And you didn't go last year, and you maybe didn't go the year before. Birthdays don't change. His birthday is going to be on that same day. So it gives you an opportunity to already have it already planned out, because in January, you're already calling your list of people and saying, look, the second Saturday in April, I'm already looking at how I can plan to go to a function. And so you are already getting the ball rolling. And you're going to make that person, if that person is new on the scene, you're going to make them comfortable in their role that you're going to assign them prior to that. Or if that person is already on the scene, just like, look, I'm putting your name down, and make sure you put a backup person too on that same line, just in case something doesn't go as planned. Some unforeseen thing happens with the first person that you've chosen. So having a plan right now of looking down the calendar and just saying, what are these things that are already set in stone? I know my niece is already getting married in September. So when the invitation comes in the mail, don't put it aside and say, well, I won't be able to go because I have to stay here with mama and da. No, say, you know what? Let's see what all the events surrounding the wedding. Can I go to the wedding? Or can I go to the bridal shower? Or can I go to the reception? And sort thinking right now, what place you can fit into that, and gather up a team that can help you in making that event happen for you. And even outside help, outside of the family, with friends and even agencies that you can hire that can be available, that can learn your loved one and be a resource for you to use throughout the year. It's a great option. And then the next one is delegating responsibilities. When you're looking at, okay, I'm feeling comfortable about going, and you've done it a little bit. You've had a neighbor come over so that you can go for a walk, or you can go to appointments, and you're starting to get comfortable with saying yes and making things happen for yourself. Going out to have dinner with a friend and just saying, I'll be back in 3 hours. When you're doing those things and you're feeling comfortable about letting some things go, make those initial times around those caregiving hours where your loved one will require the least amount of assistance. So if you have someone, they have a great heart, they are compassionate, they really wanting to be there and they're trustworthy, but they don't know your loved one well enough to do those physical things. You may want to start with making your outings around the times when your loved one may be napping or maybe have settled down. They don't need to be moved around a lot if they have mobility issues. And you're going to make that a time when that person can really just sit. And maybe if they just need to assist that person with a meal by helping to feed them or just being there to socialize with them, that person is just there and it allows them to settle in. So, really looking at who's the best fit for the time that you need to be away. Many times when there's a sister and a brother, brother is not going to do anything with toileting, is not going to assist with none of that. I understand. I do. And they have an understanding like, look, I'll do whatever you want, but if the toileting thing comes up, I can't do it. I can't do it. So they know they have their routine and they've got their arrangements that they know how they work that out. And that's the thing that you've got to do for people who are not comfortable in certain roles. That there's a role that someone can play that might be outside of caregiving. So when you are delegating, when you're looking at how you are going to start building your team, keep names. Look, if someone says, look, if I can ever help you anything, you say, you know what? I can't think of it right now, but I'm working on some things for this year. Is it okay if I can call you in the next week or by the end of the month? And I'll just keep touching bases with you because so if something comes up later this year, I want to reach out to you because you may be able to help me. And that way you can get back to them, whether it's in the first 3 months of the year, the summer, or in the fall of the year. But you're keeping them in your radar and you're touching bases with them prior to that. Maybe you even may not have anything going on. And you need to just invite them over to do some meet your loved one or be there with you and they just get to be there with you while you're there the whole time. And you can even getting in to help you to do something that maybe you don't really need a lot of help doing, but just getting them over there and getting them talking with your loved one or just sitting with them and getting them comfortable because next month they're coming back to help. So you want to like get them ready to really step into a role of helping you with caregiving. And then the next one is creating a social network, socializing. So even as a caregiver, socializing with other caregivers that are positive is a must. So how do you do that? How do you connect to other caregivers when none of y'all are getting out of the house or really getting anywhere? You may run into someone at a doctor's office periodically that you see that's caring for someone else. A good way to build you a good positive network for people who really understand what it means when you say, I am tired, this is wearing me out, this is hard. And you're not saying it in a negative way. It's just the reality of it. But you're always like you- someone who understands what you're experiencing. And maybe they have been there too, and they can be an encouragement to you. And quite often, we may even run into someone else who's really not far along in caregiving as we are. And we can even offer words of advice and encouragement to them. You'll be surprised what you've learned along the way that other caregivers don't do. And you can say, look, you can try this, and why don't you do that? Or you're giving them tips on books you've read. Like there is so much to be gained in surrounding yourself with positive people who understand. And that brings to into mind the caregiver support groups. Those are wonderful in the way of you can join a support group like one on social media and doing it virtually, or you can create your own little network of people that you know and bond with them in the way of, okay, you all creating a social network yourself where you all meet virtually and you do things virtually on a routine basis. For example, if you're just getting on a video call and maybe just for 15 minutes when, because you all have like gotten everybody situated, you all may just want to sit and have lunch together online. What a wonderful thing to do. It could be as elaborate or not as elaborate as you need it to be. It could be you cook your food and you're sitting there just eating the food that you normally eat, or it could be a big deal in that I'm going to order takeout and I'm going to sit down and my friends, there's three of us or one, two of us or four of us. We're getting together online on Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. and we're going to do dinner together. We're going to do lunch together or just something in that nature of getting together on a routine basis and just having a place to just talk and just socialize. And it gives you an opportunity to even be creative and say, look, instead of coming online next week, we ought to meet up and go for a walk right after lunch. Can you get someone to be at your house around 1? Do y'all have sitter? Do we, and just see if you can make it work. Where you can get together and socialize and have a life for yourself. And just be creative and make these things happen for yourself. You cannot wait until caregiving is over. Caregiving can sometimes last for years at the expense of you being isolated from children who are growing and they're growing apart from you because you're always taking care of parents, your grandchildren that never really get that bond with you because you didn't have the time to go over or they didn't get the time to come over because caregiving was always something that was in the way. Or a lot of times it's the marriage. When the marriage starts to get strained and unraveled because just didn't make the time for each other. The caregiving needs took priority over marital needs and things get to be really rough. So these are things that don't have to happen, but you got to be intentional. You got to be proactive in saying, in caregiving, my desire is to support the needs of my loved one, but I have limitations. I cannot do everything. I cannot be everything and be healthy emotionally, socially, physically. Things will start to unravel in your life and you will actually lose your whole sense of who you are in the role of being a caregiver. So, what I want you to do is really think about what is it that you want to see your life look like in 2024. And I didn't even mention respite agencies. There are respite agencies that you can hire that can come in and allow you to get that time away. They come at an expense. And there are some organizations that do offer free respite for certain key types of groups. People who are veterans, there are some services available to them. And even the benefit of being in a group, being connected with a diagnosis type group like Parkinson's Society, the cancer, the ALS, MS, being really connected with those groups and getting their newsletters have benefits because on occasion they have people who donate money, philanthropists who really say, my loved one had this diagnosis. I want to give a $2 billion endowment to give to people who are caregivers so that they can have time to get away. And they may offer 3-day respite things that are really not known to the whole population, but they make them available. And the people who get to use them are the ones who get the newsletters and the ones who are like really connected to those organizations. So get connected to organizations because they can help you. And in the way of also funding your respite, well, look, that's what family can also do. That is, you're trying to plan to get away and you don't have the resources to pay people who are going to come in if there's a cost. Like letting people know, like, well, this is what's going on. And this is the GoFundMe or this is the account for anybody who wants to add in things to help out with the cost of you being able to get away. Or maybe they can take on an expense of paying certain bills for the year or certain months in order for you to save that money that you can utilize to be able to fund getting away so that you can have outside time for yourself. So look, I'm wrapping it up with that, and I'm giving you food for thought that first of all, you've got to think it, I- don't just look at what everybody else is doing and thinking it's just for them. It's not meant for you because you're caregiving. No, you can still enjoy your life and do things that you like to do, but it's going to be different. But there are still opportunities for that to happen. It can happen outside of the location where you're caregiving, or if you're limited on being able to separate physically, you can bring those things to you. Look, we're living in a time when you can take art classes, painting classes. You can do so many things online if you set your schedule and allow for those things to come to you and you getting engaged in those activities while you're still in the caregiving setting. Taking that time and wanting that time are two different things. And you gotta want it. You gotta want it. You've got to say, I want things to be different for me in 2024, and I'm going to do what it takes to start making changes in my life to make things happen. So, in wrapping it up today, I want to say again, thank you. And I'm looking forward to you all taking what I'm saying today and utilizing it and giving me feedback on what you were able to do, even if you can just send me the email or comment on the website and just saying, look, I tried it. It really did work. Just let me know, drop a line and let me know how it's going. So if you like this podcast, please subscribe. And if you want to be part of the Finding a Foothold community, please join on the website. And what it just allows me to do is to send you an email once a month that gives you the blog, the podcast, and other little helpful tips that I can share with you that is going to be useful or just encouraging you in your role as a caregiver. So I want to thank you for all that you do. And while you're on the website, I want you to look at other opportunities that you can work with Finding a Foothold and checking out the two group coaching programs that I have available. And also launching this month, I will have a support group and check that out on the website and on Facebook at Safe Aging at Home. And so thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you again next week. Take care. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Caregivers Finding a Foothold. We hope you found information that was useful and encouraging to you. And we want to invite you to visit the website, findingafoothold.com, and look at the resources that are available to you there. And also, we encourage you to follow us on our social media accounts, findingafoothold.com, on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And thank you so much for being a caregiver. And our desire is that you find your foothold in caregiving. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again on next episode. Take care.